Perfect, perfect. All right, I'm gonna start the recording as well. Well, as usual, I just want to say welcome everybody to this masterclass on timing fundamentals. What we're gonna cover is pretty basic principles of how to time your pressure. I think it's been a while, maybe like 1 year ago when the academy started, maybe, well, slightly less, maybe a few months ago when the academy started. I'd done some of the masterclasses on how to take angles, how to time your pressure, and I want this one to be pretty simple, and we're gonna talk about more practical examples. And I think if we also have time, we can also cover some of your some of your replay words too. If you have anything prepared, maybe we can just go over your gameplay and see how the timing your pressure could make the difference for you. Because with most of the sessions and really with most of the questions I got too, really the timing's been one of the most problematic things, because if you not able to time the pressure correctly, then it's really hard for you to control the map. And it also becomes really difficult for you to do your own stuff as a character, just resource-wise. Yeah, anyway, the slides are gonna be pretty brief, honestly. There's not gonna be a lot of theory behind it, but yeah, if we really need to, we can go over that more in depth. By the way, just in case, there's gonna be another masterclass linked on the timing, which I've done before, just in case you guys can all check the documents I sent in the class and drills, and I think there's gonna be this one on 20 January. Yeah, this is when I done that another one, but yeah, this one is gonna be more basic. What we need is what we need to know first, I think, is just what makes a good timing. Well, first of all, in my opinion, is all about pressuring when you get better resource trade. Because in my experience with the games like Overwatch and Marvel Rivals, a lot of it comes down to who is better to pressure at the best time and at the right place, let's put it this way. And if you're able to do so, then you're able to get better cooldown trade, better resource trade, and ultimately, if you forced out something bigger with more cheaper resource, then you should be winning. This is what all of it comes down to, because a lot of the people will tell me, especially DPS players, maybe they tell me, well, I really want to try to get a pick, I really want to try to maybe win this particular 1v1, but is that something what we need? I think sometimes you can look at the situation just through the lens of the bigger picture and understand, are you winning the cooldown war? Are you winning the resource war? If yes, then you should be alright, to be honest. And this is how you can judge. Is you can judge, is that something what, let's put it this way, is your engagement been successful or not? Yeah, just based on the resources. So this is what makes the good timing, and how to get better resource trade in specific. I think most of it is going to be based on timing pressure with your team. This is what I talk about a lot in the What Any War reviews, and you also need to keep in mind those general variables. Usually, it's the best to look at where most of your team is and try to time pressure with them. There's going to be a high chance to get the follow-up and force the enemy resources. It's kind of basic. If we are pressuring in the area where the other 5 guys are able to do something, then there's going to be a high chance that you might make something happen. Yeah, there's going to be big difference usually. And just in general, for anyone who is playing support in DPS, I usually recommend to just follow up on what your tank is doing, especially your main tank, because your main tank absorbs the pressure and they're able to stay alive. The good example, well, just for anyone who is not familiar with what main tank is the tank which is able to absorb a lot of the pressure. If you look at something like, for example, Doctor Strange, a lot of the times can be the main tank. Sometimes Groot could be the main tank as well, because of all the walls, because of all the sustain, stuff like that. And there are also off tanks which can provide some tankiness for the space too, but overall they're more focused on the pressure, more focused on the damage. A good example could be something like Thor, for example, can really easily go from one place to another and do a lot of burst damage and control the space with this way, but he cannot stay in the space as much. So most of the time you need to time pressure with tank, and maybe let's just keep it in the brackets here, main tank especially. Yeah, this is how I would phrase it. Okay, most of it is that, and other specifics are gonna be mostly what you need to do is look at any sort of big cooldowns you got on your team and try to time pressure around those, and also try to time pressure around the ultimates. This is really important too. If you ever have troubles with some specifics with the pressure, yeah, just timing the pressure with your team obviously is good enough already, but you can also break it down on those variables too. I think this can be really useful, and I'm gonna talk about that more through the lens of the practical examples. I saved you some of the games. This gonna be some of the votes from support, Saipe, yeah, I believe there should be the one. There's also DPS, Sparker, and on tank we have two replays. It's gonna be Fincy and Guru, I believe. Yeah, all of those are top 100, and well, in case of Saipe, they're top 1, top 2, top 3 rank. They have multiple accounts currently, and Sparker is top 5 DPS at the moment. They've been top 1 as well, so that would be really interesting to watch and just see how they time the pressure really well. Okay, do you guys have any questions about this slide here? Or does it make sense? I kind of try to keep it simple, but is there anything what are you guys interested in about a little bit more? So I assume it makes sense. If you guys gonna have any questions though, feel free to message in the chat, or you can also unmute. Feel free to do so. It's all good to have a conversation during those classes as well. This is actually, yeah, it's a all good thing. Okay, we can start with one of the replays then. Yeah, I think we just can start with DPS one. If we're talking about the timing, especially timing the pressure with the rest of your team and making sure that we synchronize with the big cooldowns as well, I'm pretty sure choosing something like Wolverine could be a good example, because Wolverine is a really in and out character. You cannot stay in the fight for too long, but at the same time, his pressure, all of his damage, it really evolves around the good timing. If you're able to just go in, do pressure at the right time, the right place, and making sure that your team is able to follow up on that, I think you can do a lot. And most of it is also going to be based on how you set up too. So let's just talk about the example from the perspective of this character, but remember, we can break it down to perspective through the lens of any other character. All the fundamentals gonna apply. You just need to look at your own character and see what you're gonna be doing. I'm just kind of looking at those examples through the lens of the timing idea. Anyway, let's just see what they're gonna be doing first. We mentioned that most important, timing pressure with our team, but then other specific details are what kind of cooldowns we can have, what kind of cooldowns we can pressure on. Well, I usually suggest, if you ever just new to this sort of stuff, to this concept overall, just choose 1-2 big cooldowns you want to pressure around, the most important ones in your opinion. For example, in here, you can choose anything what does a lot of burst, or what does a lot of CC, or what can potentially split the enemy in a way. Like the Groot wall is really great at splitting. Yeah, there are also some abilities which allows allows your teammates, they can maybe push and pull, like for example, Invis Woman, they can just displace an enemy physically. That is something what it can pressure on, but honestly just start with 2 abilities. So in our case, maybe we can start with Twarkane the Groot wall, we could be Twarkane this E ability. You just push and pull, displacing an enemy, and that is something what can allow me to do more pressure overall on the map. Yep, we just seen here Sparker is gonna most likely set up at some sort of flank first, and then after that they will decide what to do. And obviously there will be exceptions rules as well. If you're talking about the pressure around your team, well, most of the time that is something you do, but sometimes you can take your own duels just in case if something feels more killable. I mentioned it here. If you're more likely to get a kill by yourself, that's okay to fight. I think there have also been back in the days, I see that Arthur just joined our our class too. Back in the days, we also done a lot of reviews on the magic as well. We talked about that idea too. It's just making sure that you go in at the right time. Maybe most of the time it's going to be around your team, but sometimes you can also take a look and see. Maybe there's a high chance for you to get a kill. Yeah, anyway, let's get back to the replay. Are you talking more about your own teammates' big cooldowns or the enemy's big cooldowns? I would start with just my team. If we're talking about the good timing, I personally, just through the lens of, let's just put it this way. As a player, in general, I would just start with my team all the time. After, maybe you confident enough just playing around what your team does, maybe just to look in at the enemy team would be really good as well, because their abilities can disrupt your own plan too, obviously. But if we're just talking about purely timing, because most important is timing pressure with the rest of our team, I think just start with their abilities first. This is gonna be okay. Also, let me see. I would assume both are equally important. Yeah, to honestly, this can be viewed this way, but because we're talking about timing pressure with our team, I would start with my abilities first, and then I would kind of look at the enemy. You know, why tracking the enemy abilities is important? It's not because it's not because it will mess up your timing, let's say it this way, but it's more like because you tracking certain ability, it will make the quality of your engagement better. Because if I know there's no Bucky hook, or I know there's no Groot wall, this makes it easy for me to apply pressure. Obviously, this also influences the timing, but first off, just look at what the rest of your team is doing. Because even though you're tracking the rest of the cooldowns on the enemy team, but you're not timing the pressure for the rest of your team, this is not going to be as useful. I hope that makes sense. If it's not, let me know. But yeah, this is how I view it personally. Okay, for engagements, how do you determine who to engage initially and not to dive in doing so? First thought is supports, but I've lost a lot of fights when I start off a fight killing support. I arrive right when I'm needed. Yes, indeed. You're always right on time. Yeah, well, I always once you at those classes here, when we talk about the timing, any sort of big burst ability, yeah, I always bring up the magic. Yeah, you've been doing quite well on magic as well. Yeah. So, well, let me see. How do you determine who to engage initially? Well, most of it really depends on situation. I would say timing can definitely help you out with that. You don't just want to chase the target, because a lot of people would say, well, support is a great target. Maybe because they provide a lot of sustain, they maybe can be also quite killable a lot of the times too. But just based on the context, it might not be the case necessarily. That's why I always say that when you start your engagement, you need to exactly see where most of your team is, and then look to go after the most killable target. And let's just put it this way, most killable and most valuable target at the same time, because we need to look for the better cooldown trade. Yeah, so for example in here, this is sort of our exception rule. When nothing's happening, well, this is the time before the fight, this guy is isolated, maybe we can go after him. But after, we'll see that the Sparker will try to set up at the better angle, which allows them to time pressure with the rest of their team. Now, it will be interesting what they will choose. I would say probably support would be the good one, but only if their team is able to follow up. So in here we see that the Invis woman is over here. Well, maybe it can be okay to look for. Why? Because we can grab this and we can just go towards here, towards where my team is. And this is what matters a lot. But if the Invis woman is here, then it wouldn't be as easy. Maybe you could try to isolate her this way, but I think it will be pretty tough. There's a high chance for her to get peeled, and you cannot get away as easily because as a Wolverine you don't have as much mobility like Black Panther or something. So you really have to be mindful. See how patient they are as well. Again, we're looking at what our tank does. Our tank goes in, they absorb the pressure, there's a venom, they just start their own stuff first, they disrupt all these people, and then after that we're looking to do our own stuff. usually, as a DPS. Yeah, trying to pull the enemy in. By the way, they also had this jump, so you guys, for anyone who noticed, they have this space here, the armor thing, which makes it easy for them to go for the initial grab. Yeah, they just press it right in the middle of this here, and allows them to get a little bit of height, which is pretty good play. Just find the opening with one pick, that's great. Well, this here still got ras, but there's a lot of space, which we got though. This is really nice, I think. Okay, now this time, we're just again searching for the target, where most of my team is able to follow up. See, they're not going too deep. Maybe there's a chance we can go after this, but would it be worth it, yeah? Can I really secure the skill? I think it might be not as easy, because Phoenix can escape, so it's not a skillable target. So we're pretty much looking to go after anyone who is able to, who our team is able to pressure. Let's put it this way. For example, if our team, most of them are on the point, that means they're able to pressure in this choke, they're able to pressure in here. So once anybody enters those blue zones in here, then we can start follow up on that pressure. We can just start grabbing something. This is how I would put it. Okay, let's keep watching. Yeah, maybe let's talk about the cooldowns a little bit more as well, just because I mentioned that it's quite important to time pressure around. This can be good to see here. For example, you see that we have the walls placed, and if I know this is something what my team is doing currently, they place in the wall, maybe this makes it easy for me to decide should I engage or not. Or like this ultimate in here, this also makes it easy for me to decide should I go or not. Usually the ultimate is a big enough reason for you to go for the engagement, because there's a great kill opportunity. Sometimes going for the ultimate, just following up on the ultimate might not be okay, but for the most part, if you know that most of your team is able to follow up, you really need to do so. That's how I would put it. Yeah. There's also some sort of anticipation you need to do though. Just try to track what your team have, and after that you can decide what are you trying to put your pressure around. I think especially when we on DPS, putting your pressure around any sort of ultimate which CCs the enemy, which slows the enemy, which stuns the enemy, yeah, all of that is going to be the most preferable. Again, we see that Sparker is flanking, they go on this one kind of 180 flank going in the back, but then afterwards they're being really patient. What to do if we're getting contested before the fight? What if we're not able to time the pressure with the rest of our tank? Well, in this case, try to preserve as many resources as possible for the time when most of your team is able to attack again. So we have most of our team positioned here. We have them fighting for this choke now. Well, I just want to make sure that most of my cooldowns are ready there. Yeah, I really don't want to get poked as much. If this angle is free, once it's free, I can go in and do stuff. Again, I'm looking for the weakest target. Maybe we could be going after the support, but is it going to be the most suitable ones? It seems that this here is behind the bridge, and maybe anybody who is extended more further, it might feel even better, even though it's a tank, especially for the Wolverine in here, by the way. They're quite good at bursting the tanks too. So they will be exactly trying to choose this. It seems that they've been not able to find the engagement though. Yeah, they kind of trying to bait the Ammo Frost, I think, as well, because there's the diamond form. You see them using that, they instantly react. Yeah, this is really important too. Just any sword can stop us, can also influence your timing here. But anyway, they start disengaging, but then they will repeat the same thing again. We see that, okay, something's happening, my team is using ultimate, I can take advantage of that, I can go forward and take more space. If not, if there's no big ultimate, then at least I'm trying to set up and make sure that I'm following up for the rest of my team, most of the time, constantly. Alright, do you guys have any questions, by the way, so far, or does everything make sense? We're also gonna talk about the support and tank later on, so yeah, feel free to bring any questions. Okay, let's just break down this a little bit more, because this one is interesting. We see that the Wolverine actually started to attack in the area where most of their team is not able to do much. But why? What is based on? Well, simply, it's our exception rule here. If we know if we're really confident we can get a kill, then I think you can go for the deeper angle. We see that the Venom is also kind of deep in here too, so maybe there's can be high chance for us to secure the kill too, but you want to be careful because most of our team is really positioned on the payload here. That means they only able to see this turn. Maybe later on in a few seconds they will be able to see what's going on here, but because we go that deep, we might be even dying in here. But if you realize you get a better cooldown trade, better resource trade overall, like in here you see Sparker, will eventually get 2 picks. Well, it's partially because a big part of it has been the Sparker. We got 2 picks, and after that the enemy team entirely pushed out, and there's even a 3rd pick which is coming in. Let's see how much damage they did, just from their perspective too. Yeah, they just went in. I think they done pretty well with the placement of the ultimate as well. Yeah, they just trying to go for this here, for the choke. It's usually gonna be alright, sort of. Yeah, maybe they could have waited, but this still can be worth it, really, because you get a better resource trade and most likely will be winning the last fight in here because of it. Okay. We can watch anyone else, I think. We can watch the support, we can watch the tank a little bit, but yeah, do you guys have any questions about this so far? Does everything make sense? Alright, I assume everything makes sense then. Let's move forward to one of the supports. Yeah, let's talk about maybe this one here. We'll do just fine. So what I will focus on is gonna be Loki, and I also prepared one more replay for you guys. It's gonna be Invis Woman. But so far, the same things. How do I time pressure with the rest of my team? And specifics, watching for the cooldowns, watching for ultimates. This makes it easy for you to decide. What do you do? When we get to the tank portion, I wanted to gain some information on dive tanks, like that Venom in the last WOD. Oh yeah. I think the dive tanks might be one of the hardest, honestly. I know that Rogue got released as well, and maybe she may be one of the most difficult tanks, but in my opinion, Hawk might be still the most difficult. Any dive tank, honestly, because you can switch your space quite frequently. You can go from point A to point B really fast, and there's a lot of flexibility on what it can do. So yeah, you're right. We can talk about that a little bit more. Anyway, let's see for the support so far. Well, same things for your support, but the thing is that you a lot of the times need to keep an eye on what your tank is doing. If I know that my tank goes in, like similar to DPS when we talked about the Sparker on Wolverine, you really need to keep an eye on where the pressure is happening, where we are absorbing some sort of damage, and then after that you will make it easy for you to send your healing resources and damage as well. I think for the Loki, the most important healing resource is his lamp. If you're able to place it at the right time, the right place, then you're doing great job. But you just need to specify the area where you're fighting. So you need to do some anticipation. For example, my team here, it seems like most of them are around the choke. There's also another angle on the left side. And I also have someone really deep in here. It seems that they're looking for the cheeky play. I'm not sure what their plan is here, but yeah, it seems they may be looking for the early pick in here, and then probably will jump towards their team in here anyway. But because I know most of my team's positioned this way, I can predict where I will place my drones in here and place your lamp. And it's mostly gonna be in the choke, really. Let me see what they done actually at the Wolverine too. Yeah, they started. Yeah, okay, that's just been, maybe they realized they got scouted, so yeah, we're not able to take advantage of that space anymore. They also had this jump perk. Oh yeah. This is also is on them. I mean the jump buff. That's alright. Anyway, we see that the side bit just starts the pressure, normal pressure in the choke, and after that we can decide what to do with our resources. At first it goes pretty okay, we just need to control the most open space, and usually the clones, the way you place it, is going to be the most important. We just want to control the most space possible. You see them actually not positioning on the main a lot of the times too. They're always trying to choose to position on some sort of side angle and just supporting anyone who does the most pressure at the moment. I'm just keeping an eye on, first of all, what my tanks are doing, because they're more frontliney, but you also need to keep an eye on anybody who is taking off angle. It's just because they might receive a lot of pressure. Like this Penny here, they have been fighting for this left angle, and there's a high chance for them to receive the pressure right away. Yeah. And you see that what triggers them to use the lamp here exactly? Is it the best time for us to just to do so? Well, always look at the main triggers, such as if your teammate is under pressure, if they're active in a way, and if they also drop in the HP, they used a lot of their defensive cooldowns, then this is a good time for your support to do something with your healing resources. Again, there might be exceptions from the rules, but this is how it usually goes. If we look at this Penny, see how many resources they use. Most of them are pretty much not there, and their HP is also relatively low. So I can try to place my drone in here and just save them. Again, if you do some anticipation, this always helps. You shouldn't react to all the pressure from your team, the enemy. It should be more anticipation, and then you can decide what to do. Anyway, we're just going for the normal damage of the choke. It seems that the teams got pushed out quite a lot, so we have to give up the space. That's fine. And see, this is the part of the timing too. If I recognize that most of my team is not there, I need to find this time to fall back, most likely give up some space. I don't want to be actively fighting. I need to wait for the best moment. See how they're being just confident in terms of the patience of waiting right at the corner in here. You have to wait for more people to come in. When most of my teammates are around, then I can go. And it can be done even without the tank. Obviously, a lot of the times having tank is a good thing, but if you don't have it, then at least wait for the most of your team to go in. And see how being patient with the ticks here as well. We allowing the enemy to get the most ticks. It's okay. Just make sure that you secure the point afterwards. Win the fight first, because a lot of people will just run in on the point. But we can time the pressure really well because we patient. Going for the ultimate, I think the this here, it just sets them better speed boost, and it just makes it easy for their team to take space. Yeah, the Gambit ult is great and this stuff. They also can go really aggressive in here, I think. So that's nice. So patience wins. Patience wins as the point control, ultimately. Alright, any questions about the Loki gameplay so far, or is everything been clear? Again, same ideas, timing-wise. Maybe if you want to know more about the abilities. By the way, I never talked about the abilities in here. Even a support is still important. Just what my teammates are pressuring around. Yeah, we mentioned your tank abilities, or just any defensive. If those are getting used, then I'm more likely to do something with my healing resources. But it can also go the other way. If my teammate, if I know somebody is able to do a lot of pressure with their resources, like Wolverine can go in and grab something, or maybe my Venom can go in and slam in some area, then I'm more likely to put attention on those guys. Yeah, so it's not only about defensive resources, it can also be about offensive resources too. That's how I'm able to time the pressure really correctly most of the time when we're on the support. Yeah, but anyway, we see Saipe is just trying to play on this kind of more defensive now, because we also need to wait for the rest of their team to set up. And we also really don't have too much in terms of the ultimates too. So can also be important. You need to find the time to just farm it. You know, something what a lot of the supports are thinking about as well is what I can support based on the ultimate availability. Yeah, I mentioned that, well, let's time our pressure with ultimates. But you can also try to help out the person who more likely to get their ultimate right in the fight. So in our case, it can be Emma, it can also be the Hawkeye, maybe it can be our Wolverine or Gambit. I think Gambit less likely, but 100% Emma. Yeah, if I'm focusing on them a little bit more and seeing if they're actually active, then that makes it easy for them to survive, and eventually they might get an ultimate. Again, you're not 100% guaranteed to win the fight, but it just might lead to the better cooldown trade overall. Yeah, it seems that it's been not going as well, because when they ulted, the ammo ulted, they instantly died, but it's fine. It's fine. We're really looking at the big perspective. By the way, this game is really long. As you can see, 25 minutes, but eventually Saipe managed to win anyway. I think it's just mostly your consistency. If you're able to keep an eye on the right place and do the pressure at the right time and the healing at the right time, I think it should be okay. Like you can see here, I'm trying to anticipate. We should try to anticipate where the fight is gonna be. It's gonna be right at this corner and looking who does pressure. For example, in here we can see the Wolverine. If they jump on this angle, let's heal them up a little bit more. Maybe let's try to support them a little bit more, just in case. Maybe there's gonna be Emma who's pushing in here as well. Again, that is something what I can support a little bit more. Yeah, but first off, you need to focus on the damage though, damage part, and then after that we kind of swap between the targets. Let's see when they place the lamp. I think this is gonna be the most important. You see how patient they are. Actually, they're not placing it right away. Waiting. There's a lot of patience, just shooting, using the clone, and then the lamp goes in. Why? Because this teammate is really deep. They're under pressure. They're really active. They use a lot of their defensive resources. Let me see it. Did they use their... Yeah, most importantly, they use their diamond form. And just any big ability like this can be good trigger for you already, that I gotta pay attention to this guy right now. I gotta just heal them up, and this way it makes it easy for you to get the better cooldown trait. Stuff like that. Alright, yeah, we mentioned quite a lot for this section. If you want to, we can quickly jump in the tank, and then maybe we can also cover any of your wards later, if you want to. Just specifically focus on the timing, but as you wish, guys, really. Yeah, do you want to talk about the tank right away, or yeah, do you have any questions about the support so far? Stuff like that. Okay, if no questions, then let's focus on support. Just give me one moment. We need to find the replay somewhere here. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I think a lot of the tank players, they do play a rogue, but we can also focus on the dive a little bit. Let me see the question. When we get to the tank portion, I wanted to gain some information on dive tanks like that Venom. Yeah, sure. Is there anything specific what you wanted to know? Maybe just... Is it timing based? Timing when to engage, or is there anything else? What are you interested in? Cooldown resource trading. I see. Well, overall fundamentals will stay the same, really. If I'm engaging, I should be doing that right at the time when most of my team is ready, especially as a tank. But still, there are gonna be more exceptions because you playing dive, you usually have more burst compared to any other tanks, and that allows you to just go on isolated targets a little bit more. It's just because of your mobility and because just of the offensive capabilities. I can burst the target within the seconds a lot of times. That's how I would put it. But yeah, let's just maybe focus on what I prepared for you at least. It's gonna be mag first, and then we can maybe talk about the dive as well. I think there was some of the replay on the Captain America, maybe we could go with that. Actually, if you want to, Soulmate, if you have any of your wards, I could just review that as well after the tank section. We can maybe quickly look, skim through. Any of you guys, if you want that as well, I can do so. I will just focus on the timing specific. Okay, here we go. This is gonna be the mag. Yeah, feel free to send the code in the chat, it's all good. I will take a look. I think we have a lot of time. I just want this session to be more practical, so it makes sense for everybody. We can go over as many characters as possible too. The only words I could send you are Moon Knight backline timings. Interesting. So, you mostly... Yeah, what do you mean by that? Is kind of sitting near a team of the backline, or are you going deep in their backline? Because I'm not sure how deep you can go on the Moon Knight, actually, but sometimes you can, but it just rotates to off angles to along the backline. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think it's more satisfying than Magic 100%, alright? But with Moon Knight, it's sort of more softer angles. Yeah, even though you have a lot of mobility, I think still sometimes might be tough to get away. I see. Awkward type of place. Yeah, well, but this is fine, honestly. I think awkward fundamentally is doing a lot of good things. Obviously, sometimes there are important nuances which should be told for anyone else, but I think there's always good direction to keep with all the off angles, with how you rotate, with how you time the pressure overall. Yeah, stuff like that. I would love to learn start timing on Gambit. Uh, well, most of it, the Gambit Ultimate and just overall your kit is really good at initiating the fights, in my opinion. So as soon as you recognize that the fight is happening, you can potentially make it easy for your team to push in from point A to point B. It's just taking as much space as possible with all that stuff, and also it allows you to take more aggressive positioning. That's why you see a lot of the Gambits, if they use that ultimate, they're just able to kind of go deeper on the angle. They're not positioned near their front line, if that makes sense. They can just always take deeper angles. That's how I would put it. Yeah, anyway, let's start with this first, and then after that we can talk about anyone else. If you guys want to, we can, yes, sure, we can. You can send me the Moon Knight. We can also focus on the Soulmate if you got any replays too. Let's start with those right away. Okay, let's just go back. So something happened with the TP there. The enemy, it seems, they're trying to do the TP play, and then they got disrupted a little bit. But this is really interesting by them. Anyway, what the Fince's team is trying to do right now is just try to rotate, make sure that we have a little bit more distance. We don't want to fight face to face as a mech, and you also kind of don't want your backline to be vulnerable at the same time. You want to kind of protect them. So most of your tankiness is going to happen when the enemy team will do a lot of pressure. And first of all, it's going to be towards you, and then secondly, it can be towards your teammate. But most of the time, because you have large HP pool as a tank, you can really think about, let's put it this way, you can think about how to be more aggressive and kind of absorb more pressure, yeah, kind of trade your HP a little bit more, and then only after that you will be using your defensive resources, yeah. In the case of the mag, it can be their bubbles, it can be their shield as well. But if you recognize you're pretty healthy, you have most of your HP up, then it's okay to just synchronize with one of your teammates here. See who is the most active and who is taking a lot of damage. And just make sure that you keep an eye on them. And that's going to be good enough, really. That's how I know that I'm able to get a lot of value in the space. I'm just trying to time the pressure with whoever does the most. By the way, in terms of the cooldowns, yeah, let's break it down as well. I think the most important ones to play around is going to be any daredevil abilities, honestly. If they go in actively, that is something what we can bubble. I think will be really, really important. Maybe you can also look to bubble your Groot a little bit more if they're in the front line, yeah, especially if they use their walls too. But other than that, I think it can be situational. It can be Ultron, it can also be Mantis, taking an angle. But first of all, really looking after Daredevil. Yeah, we're talking about how to time the pressure, right? So if Daredevil goes in, it can be the good time for me to bubble, and at the same time, I'll provide a little bit more pressure, a little bit more damage. Stuff like that. So let's see. Mostly, especially with our friendly bubble, this will be important to see how they will be using. And here, well, they just... if they are getting a lot of pressure on themselves, that's also okay for you to use it. And remember, you're also getting the stacks too. Whenever the shield is up, yeah, when we do a lot of pressure, when there's a lot of pressure on us, then we can sow in the stacks to push the enemy out, which can make sense a lot of the times. Yeah. Okay, let's see this bubble here. Just go back a little bit. Okay, so we've been doing this. Yeah, so for example, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, see this Groot in here. Why we position it on Groot? Because the Groot is being the most aggressive with the angle currently. and they are being pressured. Well, could we be positioned bubble on their devil? Yes, but later. Yeah, we always want to look at the context of what's happening and just find the most suitable option for you. What you could be tanking right now, and what you could help out your teammates to do. Because if your Groot is active, they go in for their damage, and then you help out them to do something, you're more likely to force out something. Yep. It's just always synchronization with all the abilities. So important. Okay. The mech is not as maybe satisfying like any dive tanks or like the new one, the Rogue, but yeah, it's still important. Where do you put your pressure and how do you bubble? It's always something I talk about with the mech players. Just when our bubble is on, who do we use it on? Yeah, and making sure that we use our bubble. For example, like here, you see that they self-bubbled right now. You know, let's just watch that one. And it kind of gets stuck in here, it seems. But yeah, anyway, that if there's a lot of pressure on them, then they can bubble. But remember that your own defensive resources can exactly allow you to be aggressive. Don't just throw those at the enemy, but wait for the bad opportunity and kind of enable your aggression a little bit more. Because you have the ability, then you can go more aggressive. And if the enemy team really starts be pushing you, yeah, you start losing your HP, then go for the stuff. And same goes for the ultimate too on the mag as well, for that reason. It's always good to wait for the moment for the enemy to do pressure first. And we exactly are going to be synchronizing with the rest of our team too. See, maybe this can be our Groot ultimate. This can also be any general pressure from our team too. Yeah, what area we're shooting. Yeah, where we throwing in all our ultimates. Yeah, all of our abilities. Really important here. Okay, anyway. They're gonna be rotating on the right side. Also, Arthur, you said, yeah, you sent me the replay. Moon Knight on Hollow Jala. Okay, skip to attack for things that are class related. Yeah, sure. I just, yeah, if you also Silmate, if you have any of your codes, that's fine. Maybe, do you have any specific questions about the dive right now? I could also go over those before we jump into the Moon Knight, but all up to you guys. Maybe something is not clear, but so far I just really tried to keep it simple. So far our TLDR is, we're timing the pressure with the rest of our team, we're looking at the important cooldowns, we can play around, enable those. You can also keep an eye on the enemy too, but it's mostly you baiting with the cooldowns. Yeah, what kind of cooldowns can disrupt our engagement, and then decide, should he go in or not? Stuff like that. No recent what's been maining Mag lately, but I want info on Venom because he fits my playstyle when I choose to be in aggressive positioning. Well, I guess I can just give you general stuff. With Venom, you have a lot of mobility. So most of the time, what you can try to do is set up somewhere deeper on the backline. It's going to be what I call 180 angle. If most of my team is going to be, let's say, let's just do it this way. If most of my team is position A and the enemy comes from this B side, okay, in this case, I can always try to look for more 180 angle like this, let's call it maybe A1 or A2, somewhere behind, and just wait for the enemy to enter my space where my teammates are doing something, and as soon as they enter, my teammates are going for the pressure in this area, I can start doing something and absorb attention. And because I absorb attention, people in this blue zone will suffer. Let's put it this way, yeah? They will not receive support, they will not receive enough healing, they will not receive enough damage, and they're more likely to die. That's how I would put it. And just any dive tank, you're really good at this stuff. It's just disrupting the backline this way when enemy team walks into your space. That's how I would put it. So aggro provides value to my team's cooldowns. Yeah, exactly, but don't go in right away. Try to set up first, take the best position possible, and then you go in as soon as you recognize that most of your teammates are around to do something. Yeah, most of your teammates are able to apply pressure. I honestly would watch any, and maybe we could go over some of the pro Venom, but I don't think there are any public wards. I know there's some good Venom players. I think there's been recently an MRC, like, Trust Me, they've been playing a lot of Venom. but personally I don't see a lot of the public Venom mods because the character is not as good currently, it seems, for the rank play at least. But anyway, so far this is how I would put it. Yeah, hope that makes sense. Aggressive position, 180 angle, start with there, with that position, and then when enemy team walks into your space, you go in, do something. Stuff like that. Yeah, let's say maybe there's gonna be some Venom. We can also talk about their engage and see what they could have done different, so that would make more sense. But yeah, let's just go over the Moon Knight first. Okay, a lot of awkward stuff you mentioned. Let's see.
Yeah, this game starts with us on 4 DPS, 2 tanks, so skip to attack. That's
Okay.
whenever it actually becomes second round.
Yeah, okay, okay. Makes sense. 4 DPS to tanks sounds exciting, but yeah, it's pretty tough at the same time. All right, we got this here, and we had decent composition. I think that's all right. It's all right. We on this first map there might be some problems with breaking through the choke, but overall, let's take a look and see what are you doing so far. Okay, just going for the damage, normal pressure, sure, then rotating through the left side. Okay. Just pressure the back line. This is what I'm talking about, by the way. It's just us recognizing there might be some exceptions like this. If you ever know that's an easy opportunity for you to get a kill, then go for it. If not, then I think you can just try to time the pressure with the rest of your team, what they do. But regardless, when you do this stuff, make sure that your teammates are also relatively active. And I think, let me see where our mag is. Okay, they're here. So if our teammates are active here, then we're fine, honestly, because those guys like this here, they might require support. Even though they're isolated, they will be supported by their teammates. But at this time, when our tank attacks, they're less likely to receive that. So this is the good time, I think, to attack. Yeah, place the Ankh, probably. Try to push them around. It seems that we not committing to them. I'm curious why, actually. So you started to pressure on them, but then you switched. Why not to continue?
Yeah, so I threw the Ankh. I tried to
Oh, you
get
just
it
missed
in a
position?
spot around the corner. It landed in a poor spot,
Yeah, I
and so
see.
I was like, they're able to play behind that wall. I can't really get them, so I'm just gonna start putting damage towards the front line to try and get more pressure so that my team can move forward a little
I
more.
see, I see, I see. Because intention here is really good. If you place the Ankh in here, you can keep up the damage, and then after that, you just get them out of here, or maybe even kill them. Who knows?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no, if the Ankh landed, she was dead.
yeah, yeah. Well, it seems that the Jeff is trying to help them, but yeah, I think you pretty much just kill them right away. Anyway, putting pressure on the front line, that's fine. Good enough angle for us to hold as well. Pulling back once you getting pushed, this is good too. And after that, repeating the same stuff, this is great. This is probably something what you want to keep an eye on, by the way. I think it's like we said, the timing is universal. Whenever there's no good killable target, I think just try to time pressure with your team. But I also want you to actually look at anybody who is committing their stuff right now. So you have the tank, but you also might have somebody else who is committing in. For example, in here we see that there's a magic who's committing their cooldown, so it might be worth it a little bit more to try to shoot them, in my opinion. Obviously, maybe it seems like we maybe didn't notice that the magic exactly is fully engaging right now, but I think if you're able to do so, this will make it easy for you to just get a better cooldown trade. There's always a better chance that you might force out something bigger whenever you chain the big burst, or chain it's something like chain the cooldowns too. Yeah, there's a big idea. So if I'm able to follow up on this, I think there's a high chance that you will make something happen even more, maybe give up the space more, and after that you can maybe switch the tank. That's my only nitpick here. Okay, going back to an angle, if fine. Yeah, the angle wise, I think it's looks pretty good. Also, when we go on an isolated target, that looks great too. And here, that's fine. Quick kill like that. You probably have to get out. Sure. Okay, going on the HP pack. Let's see how it turns out later on. Contesting the guys over here. We have a free time, what we can do right now. So see, for example, now, shooting the tank can be okay-ish, I think. And just kind of keep the pressure up, but also be like careful about this. Is really niche, honestly, but it seems that they absorb the rogue, absorb the they absorb the invisible ability. Okay, that's interesting. Kind of got punished for it a little bit. It's a bit tough to play around now, but maybe that is something what we can you can do later on as well. Just keep an eye on what the ability is there, because the most dangerous for you is really any displacement and, well, big burst from the magic, maybe. I think ammo cannot punish us too much. We should be okay with the positions where we are, but maybe CC from the Luna, the magic, and if something like Rogue absorbs the E, then yeah, can also be dangerous. It's really hard to keep an eye on, but yeah, ideally, we should. It's alright though. Okay, keep the pressure up, and we're not getting too much contesting here too. Is it your main account?
Yeah, it's my main account.
Yeah, okay. Do you still play Magic actively too? Or you?
I've kind of fallen off, unfortunately.
That's alright.
It's just so much harder to keep good at than it is like Moon Knight, who I've just been putting all my time into.
Yeah, that's true. That's fine though. That's alright.
He's a very not technical, macro-oriented character. He's very nice. I can just think through the game while also not caring too much.
That's true. You know, it seems like most of the angst in here and just overall pressure on isolated targets, it's been okay. I'll just keep an eye on, well, first off, what can punish you, but also maybe try, let me see if there are any opportunities, but it really seems like we need to try to search for more team-oriented angst, kind of when most of your team is ready to push in, then it can kind of place the angst. Like, for example, here, obviously it doesn't matter as much now, but let's say most of my teammates are around in Syria, and I'm able to play something like this. I think it's always great to take advantage of. Anyway, let's see how the engagements will turn out later, because so far the positioning up left been okay, also push and pull been okay. I'm curious what's gonna happen later. Are we gonna... Sure, well, they go in, you go out, they're isolated, we can just instantly kill them. With this song here, push forward, take a little bit more space. There's also a small thing, but I think you're able to do that. It's just before the fight, maybe also taking advantage of your grapple a little bit more, but I'm not sure if you have time right now. Do we have time? What do you think? Doing this fight, for example.
It's just my longest cooldown, so I like to use my double jump a lot more, just because if I use
I think it's
my
difficult.
grapple, and then I'm just kind of in the water.
Yeah, this is difficult. I think it's only for the times when both teams are really far from each other, really, yeah. Because it's, other than when you're really on deep rotation, maybe this can be possible, but yeah, in this case, I think it's fine. Yeah, we kind of keep we use that as an escape, then after that, our team gets in the brawl phase. Yeah, it can be okay-ish. You know, my only nitpick is just who might push us. I'm not sure, well, honestly, Rogue, maybe Wanda. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine to keep it. We can just keep pushing in, then just sometimes with the characters which are not able to push us, then maybe we can use it aggressively. Here, Ankh, sure. Just want an easy kill. Also, placing in the choke is fine. The guy should be okay for this fight, I believe. Should be alright. Just slight adjustments with mechanics, though. But yeah, other than that, it feels that we should be okay-ish. Okay, keep shooting this. Fortunately, we had to give up the top left in here, though. Okay, the pressure is up with the Ankh. Okay, now we can hopefully set up at the top left again. Sure. I push in with this. The rest, I'm thinking. What's your opinion on the ultimate here? What do we? Yeah, what are you
So
gonna be
currently,
doing?
I was just waiting so they didn't get pulled off by Emma, and then I was just gonna look for the back line, ult Onk, and then go for it. But then the rogue came up, so I had to change what I was doing.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just there's a way for you to play around it. So it's just because it just feels that the enemy kind of gained a lot of tempo here, but I'm not sure. Maybe with this Invisible Woman we can go in a little bit more active, but I'm not sure. Is there's a way for us to maybe look to change the tempo right away? What do you think? It's just most of our team is around here. Maybe most
But
of
like
them.
the moment I was looking for my ult, I got hit by Emma, so I was like silenced from using it. So I was waiting for
Hmm.
us to like reset, and then once this happens, even though they have a Luna ult, I could just kill people through it.
Let's just go back. So I just yeah. So this happened here-ish, right?
Yeah, like right whenever I'm looking to get it, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, a bit unfortunate with this, but yeah. It just really feels that when they change the tempo of the fight like this, would really like to have our ultimate placed somewhere. It's not even just anything specific. It's really most of my teammates are looking forward, going to go forward, and I want the ultimate to be placed as well. So it's just partial, and maybe the Twakin, the ultimates could be quite handy in here. It just makes it easy. If I know they have this, then I can maybe try to reposition more comfortable way. But yeah, hopefully you guys should be fine with Invisible Woman afterwards. You
I
guys
know
been not able to get through though. Okay,
we
interesting.
we struggle, but we get it.
Let me see. Actually, we also followed up on our ultimate on the
It's Invis ults,
after
their
this
Luna
here.
ults.
Yeah,
I onk and kill two.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Yeah, they go in for our space. We're trying to time pressure the rest of our team in here, and then later on, hopefully you can live through. Yeah, it's gonna be the last fight for you guys. 30 seconds left. You keep shooting, keep pushing. You guys have big advantage, so it's fine. You can set up again. I don't know. It just seems that we overall really struggle to win this first point. There's small things here and there, but nothing like maybe too big yet, which stands out. Maybe let's just see what happened here. Oh, the rogue went on us. I see. We just sit at
I
this.
didn't respect her all game.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I think it's worth it. If they commit most of their stuff, really, it's always worth it to trade something. It's the I think your grapple is worth it. That's how that's why I view it through the lens of the resources. If I know that there's a guy who used 2 cooldowns and in total, that's going to be 20 seconds of their cooldowns, let's say, and we only using our one, which is 15 seconds, we ultimately should be winning. So I think as soon as you see them do this, then just go back. Yeah, it's sort of... Oh, this is not... wait, let's go back. Yeah, so it's starting here. Yeah, they notice you, they start pushing, so they use the kick, and then they start using shafting here, and then I think they press it one more time, and they start kicking and do the projectiles, and you see most of the abilities are gone, pretty much. I think as soon as you recognize, before they do the dive here, when they do the kick in the air, I think you can start moving. That's how I would maybe ideally put it. I know it's a little bit harder to execute, maybe. Also not as familiar playing versus the rock sometimes with those situations, but fundamentally, most of the resources are gone. I think you're good. You're good to go, and you know that you should be okay with time and the pressure. But other than that,
I think I literally did just like brain turned off there because I had grapple the whole time. I don't know why I didn't use it.
that's okay. That's alright.
Just
Right.
one of those.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I don't know. Do you have any specific questions? So far, I like the angles. I like the isolated targets pressure. Maybe something to look for is just first of all thinking anticipating what kind of things can punish me. There was some small thing about the rogue, maybe, and also, what was there? I think there was one more. Oh, maybe also thinking about the more team-oriented unks, just in case if the rest of your team is ready, then I start pushing in as well. But I think it looked
When you
decent.
mean when you say team oriented onk, what do you mean?
I'm just thinking sometimes, because most of the time it's been okay with the onks because they've been good isolated target skills. I'm just curious later on, are we? Let's put it this way: if there are no good killable targets like this, are we also placing the onks for? Uh, let's say when we place in donks, yeah, besides just going for the kill, what are you usually aiming for? What you would say?
My target is almost exclusively if I see somebody alone and I want to kill them. That it's monkey brain.
Yeah, because this is what I was thinking too. Because sometimes there will be no situations like this. So maybe I also want you to try to think about the situations when most of my teammates are around. So I just put up simple pressure around the same area. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's not gonna do too much. Maybe it's not gonna get you a kill. But I can just place the onk right away to purely do more damage, and hopefully this will end up in doing more because you synchronizing the pressure with your team. So if I hit something, my team hits something, we get a kill more likely. That's how I would put it. Because but you just put the situations later because that felt based on this gameplay. Yeah, you do search for the kill opportunities a lot, but this is good. But sometimes we might be missing the timing the pressure with the rest of our team. Since we talked about the timing, it's can be pretty important too. Stuff like that. I don't know. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Well, for anyone who is here, do you guys have any questions? Any more questions about the timing so far? I don't know. The theory is pretty simple. Maybe if there's anything specific you guys are interested in, I can talk about that. But so far, I'll TLDR is with timing the pressure with most of our team. This is usually a good direction to go with, and we also have the exceptions. We can go for the kill whenever, just without our team, like we saw with the Moon Knight. If you're able to easily secure the kill, I think it's fine. If not, then just time the pressure with your team, look after your tank, especially if they absorb pressure and go in to do something. And for other specifics, just track any important cooldowns you could pressure around and time pressure with ultimates. That's how I would put it. It's kind of simple way to put it. That's about it. Do you guys have any questions, or is everything been clear? All right, I assume everything's clear for the day. I think for later, I will think about the topic of the class. I'm not sure yet, but there's probably going to be more theory. We might be doing the community water reviews first, though. I'm not sure. Just so you guys are interested. The next class, community water reviews, and the next time, we're more likely to go over a big theory over something. Maybe compositions, maybe any in-game concept. I will think. Maybe if you have any suggestions, let me know. I will be curious to hear.